What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to another review. So, today's video, hi, I got a haircut. It's a little bit shorter. Yeah, I like it. It's a boy cut. It's not exactly like a pixie cut. It's more or less like, hey, I want it shorter because it's summer and I can't stand, like, you know, hair. Like, okay, on the back of my neck, it's kind of weird because it's like, I don't want my neck to be itchy, so I'd rather just have it like super short. So yeah, let's get into it. I'm really excited. We're gonna dive into the review for Fallout 3, and I really hope the Fallout 3 fanboys and girls don't come at my neck. And you guys know how it goes. The article will be down in the description below. This is the video version of the article, so if I am glancing over at the screen over here, it's to make sure that I'm staying on par with the article, since I don't memorize my articles before I go into film like a script or anything like that, so that's why I'm reading it back and forth to make sure I get everything exactly right. Let's move on. Let's start. Let's go. I've had a lot of caffeine today. Let's dive into the minds of the Wastelands in Fallout 3. 2008 was a revolutionary year for gaming. Open world games were starting to come into their own and to the forefront, basically, because we see a lot of games that were created in 2008, 2009, Silent Hill Homecoming being one of them, the Fallout series. The Fallout series actually started in 1997. I didn't know this until I started playing Fallout 3. I did a lot of research on the Fallout games. I was like, oh my gosh, this game is actually pretty darn old. Not as old as some games, but it has a background. I know a lot of the Fallout fans are probably saying, well, yeah, Ariel, no, the series has been around for a while. We all know this was a revolutionary time for gaming in terms of where graphics were coming into their own, better storylines, dialogue, but sadly games like this are living in the past when it comes to ideals, race issues, and karma. Karma is approached in this game really isn't an either or thing, like, oh, I can be just a little bit good or a little bit bad. No, like, it really honestly does not give you the choice. You have to be either really bad or really good. The concept of choice is a major thing within this game, and it's a major indicator of what kind of person you're going to be throughout the game, whether or not you're going to be this martyr person or you're going to be this, you know, villain-esque type of person. The game actually takes away your ability to be a human, and it makes you crumble beneath the will of your overseer, makes you become a cannibalistic murderer or a manipulative raider. This next bit I'm going to get into is very in-depth, and please stay with me because there's a lot that I have to mention throughout this, and I know some people are going to jump in my throat for this because I have had a lot of people hate my opinion about this game. The fact that I don't like it, the fact that I think there are bugs, I'll get into all of that, but just throughout this video, please watch till the end and bear with me on this. Stepping into the world of Fallout 3, I found myself at first like a child, inquisitive and exploring everything. I mean, this is an open world game I've been really wanting to get my hands on for years. It was never really on my radar before because I never really paid attention to when it was releasing, all that kind of stuff. I had other games on my mind whenever this came out in 2008, so I wasn't particularly paying attention to it, needless to say. I was exploring the game and its surroundings with wonder and awe, and while yes, the graphics are dated and quite clunky and the bugs are an issue, which we will get into, trust me. You can literally open up this game, dissect it, put it back together again with a unique take on this post-apocalyptic world where there are people in a vault who take comfort in the complacency of that sort of safety. But on the same token, there are also people in this game who take complacency as a raider, stealing, pillaging, looting, all the other stuff. Finding complacency in a world of violence was something that very much attracted my brain because I was like, they're finding complacency all throughout this game. Whether or not it's with the slave owners, there actually is a talk of, like, you know, slave owners within the game of Fallout 3, and they're complacent with that, just as people are complacent in the vault for living there. It absolutely blows my mind. It's one of the more interesting things about the game. But just the fact of, like, taking complacency in isolation, that really was like, oof, that hit me hard. The world of Fallout 3 is one of nostalgia and memories tucked away in those early years of the 2000s for some people. And for a lot of people, you know, it was their favorite. It won Game of the Year, for crying out loud. So, I mean, you know, it was good for its time. Keyword for its time. With playing this game, it was like going back in time, experiencing different things, experiencing different kinds of graphics, and with that, we experience also different ideals. We also experienced things that, well, actually a lot of things that went under the radar that were not looked at then, it wasn't because they were accepted. They just really weren't looked at as heavily as they are now, because they're things that were in the game that were accepted then that are not as much accepted now. And from my experience, and everyone who plays this game will have a very, very different experience of this entire game and universe and how it's done, because each person will never play the same playthrough. It's not that kind of a game. It's, you have so many vast and multiple choices and things that you can do with it that it's very, very, very subjective. So my experience will definitely be so different from yours, because early on when I was in Megaton, one of the first main towns actually that you are in when you are in the game, I met up with the mayor and this weird kind of hitman-esque looking mobster. One I encountered wanted me to blow up the town with the atom bomb there in exchange for caps, which is the currency that the game uses. So I thought it was kind of interesting actually that it uses bottle caps in a currency form. That's actually pretty cool, because you don't really see too many different types of individualistic ways that you can have monetary means within a video game, and I thought, oh, caps, okay, that's pretty cute, I like that. And I had the offer to blow up the town, obviously, and then when I met up with the mayor of Megatown, I told him the experience that I had with the gentleman through the choices that you could go through. The mobster character was being arrested by the mayor, and as soon as the mayor tried to arrest him and say, okay, come with me, you know, the entire thing, the mobster character says, well, I'm not going to go with you. That's impossible. Keep in mind, I'm paraphrasing right here just to show you guys the example from the game. Now, after the mayor told the mobster, and I keep calling him a mobster because that's what he looked like in the game. He looked like a mobster. But after the mayor was telling the mobster, hey, you are arrested, the mobster called the mayor a knuckle dragger, which is a derogatory term for an African American person, a black person, a person of color, which to me showed racism within the game. Now, like I said, there's several more examples that are sprinkled throughout the game. To me, this example showed racism. Now, I didn't know that you can actually intervene in these somewhat cutscenes, so I just let the scene play out, and when everything was all said and done, the mobster character ended up shooting the mayor. And I was like, what? What's happening here? And needless to say, I was kind of shook at the entire thing. So since I didn't know that I couldn't really intervene at the time, since I was basically starting with this game, I didn't know that you could intervene whenever characters were talking. I didn't know that it was that kind of a game where you could basically like shoot the character or shoot the guy or shoot anybody who was like in the room during this impromptu cutscene, which I don't even think it was a cutscene, but still. So like I said, I let the situation play out. The mayor ended up getting shot. I was left kind of speechless, sitting there. I'm just like, well, that just happened, didn't it? Now, if it were just this one incident, I could just write it off as the developers not really caring what they're writing and putting into the game, but it wasn't just this one incident. Further into the game, I found out that there's actually a way to bypass Tranquility Lane by pressing or actually clicking on different objects that are in the abandoned house within that area, that simulation that you were in. You won't have to do the gruesome tasks that you're asked to do, and I actually found this out on a website through a walkthrough because I did not, for the life of me, figure out what you were supposed to do with that section, so that was the only part of the game that I actually looked up. Now, when you bypass Tranquility Lane, a computer will come up and it will show you different entry logs, different journal things, but mainly and most importantly, the Chinese failsafe program, where a group of Chinese soldiers, more importantly Chinese communist soldiers, will come out and gun down everybody in sight. And these voice actors or you know, people who are just voicing the characters of these Chinese members, I do not know if they were Chinese themselves, but it looked like and it sounded like they were just mocking the Chinese and mocking the Chinese language, and it didn't even sound to me like they were actually speaking in proper Mandarin. Needless to say, I feel it tone deaf to add racism into a game where it doesn't really belong. Yes, the game is set in a post-apocalyptic world where humanity is a cruel fight for survival, kind of that fight or flight instinct to an extent. It's survival, it's a kill or be killed world, but that does not and will never excuse a developer for adding racism into a game just to be edgy for edgy's sake. Prove a point if you will, yes, why don't you? But please do it in a way that is educational for the player and the viewer of the game. If someone is adding in racism, use it in a way that is educational and beneficial for the viewer instead of mocking and judging different minorities. That's all I have to say. Karma isn't about being human anymore. The karma system in this game is a weird one for sure. Making a bad decision really heavily impacts the way that your final outcome of your playthrough ends. And also making bad decisions really heavily affects your view and worth within the world of the game as well. It honestly makes me feel as if Fallout 3, you know, makes you feel guilty for choosing to kill someone over 6 caps and then just running away. The concept of kill or be killed is quite intricate in Fallout 3, of where you, the game really pushes you towards the narrative that you should be good. Even though you have the choice to be evil, up until the last possible minute, it will still give you the choice to be good. Psychologically, the karma system within the world of Fallout 3 is unrealistic. In a world where you have to fight to survive, you would have to band together, creating shelters, places that are a suitable means of survival. Fallout 3 is what happens when survival turns animalistic. It's not in any way realistic in this form, in which society would be, you know, in the way society would turn, considering the fact that humanity as a whole clings to stability. That's a key thing here, is that humanity clings to stability. We want to have a stable world. We want to have food and shelter and comfort. And if we, you know, turn to the animalistic and desperate side, we're abandoning our human, empathetic role that we have naturally, you know. And it's kind of something I noticed throughout the game, is that we as human beings choose to help someone over hurting them. And I feel like that's what the game really misses in terms of like really showcasing what could be something potential. But in any case, you know, I really honestly think that the game could do a better job in any way about educating its audience, you know. Now we get into the fun part. Oof, I mean, everything else was fun to talk about, honestly, but you know, now we really get into the juicy stuff. Bugs, glitches, stalling, reused dialogues, oh my. So speaking of that one little world, this game is by far one of the most unstable in terms of performance I have ever seen. The game was littered with bugs, glitches, and would stall at certain points when I would try to complete certain missions. It was nearly almost impossible to play or finish, considering the fact that it would freeze multiple times. And when I say multiple, I mean over 20 times. What I'm wondering is, why didn't this game get a remake? Why didn't at least it get a remaster that way it could be suitable to be put on other platforms? You know, this game is from 2008, and the people who mod it are the fans. So you would think that it would be remastered by Bethesda in order to be suitable to be played on other platforms and formats. Fallout 3 has a major potential to be something incredible with how vast the story is and how many different quests you can go on, and just how littered with... it's just littered with potential. I mean, you know, you have broken bits and bobs, but it doesn't mean you can't put it together to make something nice. I mean, not only that, you know, with how different the characters are from other games that I've seen, and, you know, just how the characters who are evil will even try to help you out, and that says a lot. Fox is a great example. Fox has to be my favorite character if I were to pick any in Fallout 3. Fox is a great example of where he will help you through Vault 87, since we helped him get out of an area that he was captured in, and he will help you get the Gek, which just sounds like phlegm. Gek. Gek. Like, seriously, it just sounds like phlegm. This game could have, in all caps, could have been something absolutely just fantastic. Yeah. People don't think there are glitches in this game? Especially, like, the people who were talking to me and saying, oh, I didn't see any glitches from your gameplay. I didn't see any glitches. That's because I cut most of it out. Most of it is, like, several minutes, almost to an hour long of me trying to... There we go. See, this is what happens. And trying to do it again. Like, literally, I'm stuck on this part simply because of the glitches. That's it. It's not even shooting. It could have been diverse and well-formed had it not been for the bugs that would have made it impossible to shoot at certain enemies, a character that uses its hammer when it's not provoked or controlled to. The NPC dialogue in this game is lackluster, robotic, and quite frankly dull. So here are my finishing thoughts. So this is the first time actually reviewing and playing through a game that I have a strong dislike for. I did not think that I would dislike the game this much. I see, the thing is, my opinion, Bethesda, they should just stick to publishing. That's what they're good at. I mean, The Evil Within, Doom Eternal, The Evil Within 2, Wolfenstein, need I go on? By the end of the game, we actually have to choose. We have to choose who dies to basically save a purifier. It's a machine that delivers pure, clean water to the surrounding area. It's, you know, it's an environmentalist's wet dream. I don't know what to tell you. Which, honestly, if you think about it, this entire main point of the game was to find a solution for clean water. Huh. Through all of the convoluted plot lines and confusing mixtures of stories, fighting the government in order to get pure water is the takeaway. I mean, in my playthrough, I went through a chamber, I died a victorious martyr-esque death by radiation poisoning and glitches. I mean, seriously, this game, I give this game a 4.5 out of 10 stars, and that's being generous. Seriously, with everything that I've seen, this game is a rough draft of what could be. I never like making these kinds of reviews. I never like putting myself in the position where I have to be the bad guy, but I always want to be honest with you guys. You know, I'd rather be the blunt SOB that tells you guys up front how it is than be the person that, you know, kisses everybody's ass. I don't want to do that. But no, seriously, like, whenever you're doing stuff like this, you have to be honest with people. If people don't like it, that's fine. I don't care. But the fact that, you know, my opinion is out there and you guys can trust me as a reliable source for these types of reviews, that's what I want the most. That's it for today's review. If you guys like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below, because I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Today is an exception because I couldn't upload this video yesterday for technical reasons. So yes, I do not do videos mostly on Saturdays because algorithms and everything like that. It just, you know, complicated YouTuber stuff, yada yada yada. But you guys stay casually nerdy, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.